Tanzania, like many other countries of Africa, has really benefited from cooperating partners in so many ways. So we have always been able to get the technical support from cooperating partners. So they've been able sometimes to send experts to our countries to do some kind of issues to do, for example, like actuarial evaluation of our institutions, programs to do with training of staff who are able to deliver on these programs, as well as technical advice in general, because we tend to learn from each other. So we have really, as a country, been engaged with partners for so many ways.
Malawi has received quite significant support from cooperative partners in terms of social support in the areas of capacity development at national level, even at the district level. And he has also received some funds to coordinate or in terms of cash transfers to the beneficiaries.
So with the European Union Social Protection System Strengthening Program, my role has been really to facilitate and strengthen the social service workforce mapping, lead and coordinate the activities of the Ministry of Labour and Social Affairs in not only mapping the workforce but also identifying new occupations for further elaboration into curricula, into training programs, identifying the capacity gaps of various training institutions such as the technical vocational education training centers, and developing a capacity development plan for these training institutions, which also includes the accreditation institutions and the centers that really apply the quality assurance mechanism. So that's been one stream of work.
Moving in the direction of what I see as very important in terms of trying to, again, help this whole process being a reality would be an element of helping countries that are being supported through the European Union and other donors who are putting in resources in this social protection area. It may be to help countries see social protection as something that would bring long-term gains.
For me, I think the Africans or the African countries must be given the platform for them to identify the real problems when it comes to capacity building for social protection.
To our countries, I would want also to commend the African Union, our countries through the African Union, for especially taking these initiatives of coming up with a transform agenda for Africa. And this is more important because if you look at the demographic, Africa, as compared to other countries of the world, has a demographic dividend. It has an advantage over its demographic trends. So, however, this advantage is not going to stay forever. So it's good for Africa to prepare for the future that is likely to affect the continent.
Knowledge is power. And as much as we can say, okay, yes, we want to do social protection. We want to roll out activities around social protection so that vulnerability and poverty is reduced. We cannot do it without knowledge. And that is why this transform training is so important, so critical.
What we're trying to achieve with Transform is to help institutionalize social protection in the countries. And part of institutionalization is to develop the culture of social protection and research and learning in the countries, so that you have experts who can advise government or be in government to be able to make critical decisions regarding the development of social protection systems. To do that, we need to move away from training that is ad hoc and delivered by those who are providing technical assistance to a more systematic way of learning, maybe in collaboration with learning institutions in the countries, And so I would advise that capacity building contributes also to institutionalized learning, that it is not ad hoc and it is not tied to technical assistance. That's what we're trying to achieve.
And my recommendation is that the work that we started is very good. In Ethiopia, we're focusing on assessment of social service workforce, identification of new occupations or even the existing ones. How can we expand the competency? How can we improve the competency to embed social protection in some of those occupations? And then how do we develop various curricula for those occupations so that we can respond to the demand that's already being created by this massive social protection programs that are running in the country. So my recommendation is, first of all, to continue that work, to strengthen it, but to also focus on all levels of the system, because you cannot just train and retrain, but you have to embed training in training institutions who are linked with various ministries who need that workforce that is trained and that is capacitated.
So it's basically about contextualizing what Zambia is facing, rather than getting two or few people out. So when you are looking at the curriculum, you find that if you have few people out, they will be exposed to the models that work for that particular place. But it is, in my view, important that it's done here and you appreciate what it is that is going on, what are the needs within our localities, how do we then inform the curricula.
The current way that it's being addressed, I think it speaks more to the demands that are in country, and the current methodology also gives the provision or the leeway for the individual countries to be able to give some suggestions on how best some of these initiatives can be addressed. So it has taken into account what the respective country owners would give as a suggestion on how best this could be taken, because it's not coming with a one-size-kind-of-fits-all approach, but it takes into account the different country contexts that we have within the region and also in Africa, and the support is always being tailored to what those different dynamics are and how then can we best address the challenges that we have, with a huge input from the locals, the owners, and then you find common ground and you go ahead to implement these things.